Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Prime Real Estate Network podcast. I'm your host, Rick Davis. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I urge you to do so at Prime Real Estate Rick. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in residential commercial real estate anywhere in the great state of Texas, but especially here in our lovely city of Houston, I invite you to reach out to me directly on Instagram at Prime Real Estate Rick. As always, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you this Thursday, and I want to thank everyone in the audience for tuning in. As you can see, I have a very special guest co-host. The Texas Real Estate King, Mr. LarryWBrooks, is away on assignment, and I want to thank this fine real estate leader for sitting in with us this week. She is not only a highly successful real estate broker, but she's a mentor, an inspiration, an educator for real estate professionals all over the greater Houston area. So thank you for sitting in with me, Miss Courtney Okenlomo. Thank you so much.
Such nice to be here. And that was an introduction.
I know.
What's going on? That was a little much.
I had so much
pressure.
fun with you and your team when you had a chance to sit in with us. And for those who didn't see Courtney and her team's appearance on the Prime Real Estate Network podcast, where were you? But you can still go back to the Prime Real Estate Network YouTube channel and catch up on those past episodes. So what's been going on in the world of Collective Realty Co. and the like?
A lot of selling Houston. That's what we do. We did officially roll out our date for our grand opening.
Please share now.
You will be getting an invitation, and I'll invite you as well, actually.
Thank you.
June 29th. It's a Wednesday evening, 4 to 8 p.m. We're located on 290 in Hollister, right in the center of the city.
North side, baby.
So follow us on Instagram, Collective Realty Co. for all the happenings.
I want to thank you so much because you brought such a positive energy and light with you and your team. And when I asked you if you would mind ever co-hosting with me, you were and gladly accepted my invitation. So thank you so much for honoring that commitment.
Of course. You're so welcome.
And anytime. I appreciate you for making some time with me, considering I cashed in that favorite chip.
Yeah, about 48 hours ago. But I'm here.
Thank you so much. And as always, I'm sure the education, the experiences that you're going to share is going to be something members of our audience can not only take, but impart into their and add to their professional portfolio and things in their toolbox. I would like to introduce this week's guest. You know, this is one of those special occasions. I'm always especially proud when I have an opportunity to share my platform with another proud Stephen F. Austin State University lumberjack. And this fine gentleman is definitely one of those. He is one of the most knowledgeable and thorough property inspectors anywhere in the greater Houston area. Proud SFA lumberjack, like I mentioned, and I would like to introduce him to our audience, and I would like to thank for sitting in with us, Mr. Michael McElroy. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you it's an honor being here, first and foremost. I've been watching what you guys been doing for years now, and so, hey, I was honored when y'all reached out and said, let's do it. So
I know, thanks
for having me.
And look, for all those in the audience who know us from SFA, I'm sure they like, oh my God, we're going Mac in the building. So first things first, man, talk a little bit about 3M Property Inspections. Let us know a little bit about the work that you're doing, because not only are you a property inspector, but you're also a leader in the Houston chapter of the YRD. So just talk a little bit about your company and the role that you serve with the YRD.
Okay, so for 21 years, I was an insurance adjuster by trade. 15 of that, I was a claim manager. So I've been working for corporate companies for 21 years. So during that time, I amassed knowledge of buildings, commercial and residential, and so during that time, it was just a natural transition when I wanted to begin my own business. I've only worked for 2 companies. One company was for 16 years and another company was for about 4 years. And so, during that time, I said, hey, it's time for me to move on and do what I've always dreamed of doing, and that's starting my own business. So not wanting to reinvent the wheel, you do what you know. And so
the thing I want to commend you on, Michael, is because so many professionals and entrepreneurs want to get started in real estate, and they kind of spin their wheels for that first maybe 12 to 18 months that they're founding their company. But one of the things I was most impressed about with your company is that you've jumped out there early and taken a leadership position with organizations and is serving the real estate community as a whole. So what was it about the YRD that piqued your interest, and what was it about what they're doing that allowed you to feel comfortable stepping into a leadership position with them?
Well, first and foremost, I got to shout out to Brooks and Davis Real Estate Company. You know, when I started this venture, you know, I reached out to my teammate and college classmate, Larry Brooks, and I asked him, you know, straight up, hey, can I come in your office and present to your staff, you know, about what I'm doing? And he opened the doors, gladly welcomed me in. And in that process, I talked more to Michael Davis, who I've known before. I knew Michael Davis before then, but we talked a little bit. And Michael Davis actually nominated me to join in with the newly relaunched chapter of Young Realtors Division, which is short for YRD. So, you know, we went to a dinner and they asked, it was an interest dinner, and I was certainly interested because, you know, it was just great people at the dinner. And that's one thing that I've learned in this process, okay? I've been to many conferences, corporate conferences, you know, and I've never been to a conference like the conferences that I've been to in the last, you know, 6 months, 9 months. You know, just going to the NAREB conference, the YRD meetings, and just seeing like-minded, excellent professionals. I mean, we're talking excellence. So, you know, you can't help but be inspired by that, especially when you're starting a business. So, Young Realtors Division, hey, I'm shouting out to my team. Salute. You know, we're really trying to build some things. We're getting our stuff together. We're gonna have a big launch party coming up in June at the Texas Association of Real Estate Brokers, which is on the west side in the Energy Corridor. And so we wanna start opening it up now because we need more professionals in there so we can you know, continue NAREB's mission of democracy in housing.
Oh wow!
You know, so that's what we're about.
And Courtney, I love having you sitting in because we discussed before we started taping that you represent those real estate professionals that's out there in our audience that do not have a property inspector that they've developed a business relationship with, that they trust, that they can put in front of their clients and make sure that they're getting not only the best as far as inspection, but also that knowledge, though that extra step. So from your perspective as a broker, what is it that you're looking for when you partner with a property inspector from that standpoint?
So one thing about me, just as a real estate broker and mentoring my agents, is we want to make sure that we're aligning with inspectors that are transparent and honest with our clients, but also at the same time very definitive in what they're explaining certain level of repairs that are needed after a report's been generated. So having that conversation with them, a lot of real estate agents are doing that now. We're having those conversations with our clients. We're in the hot seat, right? Making sure that they understand the severity of the ones that they should be worried about and the, you know, hey, these are just cosmetic things that you may want to do down the line. How do you fall into that in terms of representing yourself and representing these repairs that need to be completed to ease the buyer's mind when they're making such a huge purchase?
Well, that's a great question, and that's very important because, well, I'll start with my background as an insurance adjuster and a claim manager. I've had to talk people down from the worst. I mean, they lost their whole house, you know, and I've had to deliver that type of news. And we may have been able to pay for something, we may have not been able to pay for something, but it's all in your delivery. I mean, you don't go in there, you know, and just scare the crap out of the people, you know. You go in there and you say, hey, yeah, you got some foundation issues or something, but it may not be the end of the world, you know. Let's see what kind of, you know, warranty they might have. You know, let's see if it's transferable. You don't go in there doom and gloom. Oh my God, you got all these cracks in you, you know, because, you know, my job, while your client is my client, I'm not trying to kill your deal. You know what I mean? And so I'm trying to have that balance.
Yeah.
I want to be open and honest about what I'm seeing, and I always am, but it's all in the delivery.
No,
I agree.
And Mike, and I have to ask you because just hearing the question from Courtney and hearing your answer just sparked a thought in my mind. With your experience as an insurance claims adjuster, how often in your role as a property inspector may you see some signs of maybe past flooding or past natural disasters that a seller may not necessarily disclose?
That's true.
But with that eye that you have from your insurance background, how often do you run into some things that from just a normal inspector's perspective they may not have necessarily noticed?
Right.
Yeah.
We call it lipstick on a pig. That's what
We call it too.
Inside game, everybody. Get
no
inside
offense
game.
to the investors, the flippers, but we have to look for that, and you can't see through walls, but you have to look deeper. Though.
Right.
A lot of times you can find it in the attic. A lot of times you can look behind a bathtub, and look at the baseboard behind that closet,
Right.
and so you just know kind of what to look for. If it's leaking over here, it's going to show over there, so you know exactly where to go. But that just comes with experience, and so.
And someone like yourself, especially in that prior role that you had in insurance, you know the areas of town
Right.
that were damaged during certain natural disasters.
Correct.
And when you see properties in those areas, I can only assume naturally it'll take you back to like, okay,
Right.
this was a problem zone.
Right.
Let me look for these certain things as I inspect properties in these neighborhoods.
That's correct. I pretty much know when the hailstorms, where they were, when they were. And so a lot of times what's very important about a home inspector, I'll give you one example, is that let's say that we're inspecting your roof, okay?
Yes, sir.
You're buying a home from the seller. Their roof was paid for, and let's say from a hailstorm in 2018.
Yeah.
Okay, they lived in the house 3 years. They didn't see anything wrong with the roof. They didn't replace the roof, but they were paid to do it. My job is to uncover that and say, hey, there's hail damage to this roof, and so that gives you a chip to go back to the table with and make that seller disclose that if they haven't already.
Right.
Because what'll happen when you try to get insurance on that roof, the insurance company will not pay for that roof if it was not replaced before. So that is, you're talking $15,000, $10,000 that might, that might help your deal.
And Courtney, I got to ask, what type of ideas did this spark in your mind as we're having this conversation from
Yeah.
your perspective as a broker? What are you kind of thinking about as we just talk about these possible hidden damages?
Yeah, so with hidden damages, I really heavily rely on the professional that's involved, right? So I may come in and I may have an opinion just based off of a typical showing,
Right.
but for me, I like to stay in the lane that I am an expert in, right?
Right.
So I'm not an inspector, so I draw a very, very thick line between what I advise as a broker and what I'm going to, refer my client to in terms of an inspector. So I would rely on you heavily, and I would like to rely on you because of all of that experience that you have. Insurance claims is a whole nother beast.
Exactly.
And I've never met an inspector with that type of background, so that's pretty impressive.
Well, thank you. And I can consult with your clients if you have past clients that they don't know where to go. I wouldn't have a problem consulting with them, just saying, hey, this is your next step, because sometimes they get what they feel is an unfair shake from the insurance company, and I don't have a problem reviewing that and just saying, hey, looks like they did a good job, or they left this out, or something like that.
And that's a value added that as a consumer, you don't even know you would benefit from.
Right.
Until someone reveals that or exposes you to that type of information. So I thank you so much for making that a part of your platform.
Right.
Because we need so much more representation.
We do.
In that area, especially within certain segments of the buying public. So for that, I want to publicly thank you. We're going to take a break, Michael, but when I come back, I'm interested in learning more about your transition into entrepreneurship.
Okay.
What you may have been doing at the time you made the decision that, like, I'm taking this bull by the horns.
Right.
And if there's any members of your family that may have been a beacon of light or inspiration along the way.
Right.
I want to thank everyone in the audience for tuning in this week's episode of the Prime Real Estate Network podcast. Ms. Courtney and I are going to take a short break to hear from the sponsors, but we'll be right back.